Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Now today I dig into the TOG archives to bring you my opal journey, Stone 191. Now, in the rough, Stone 191 weighs 5.2 carats. It is 18.6 by 12 by 6.6 millimeters, and it is from Welo, Ethiopia. And in my initial overview of this stone, I see that it has great color. There are some issues. Particularly, there is some sand, but it doesn't appear to be too deep, and there are lots of cracks. Really obvious cracks. Can you spot them? I knew you could. So, as we look at this stone, you get a pretty good look at the cracks that are obvious. And there are two here initially, but, sadly, there turns out to be more. I know, spoilers. So sad. As far as the sand goes, it doesn't go in very deeply, but there are a couple of areas where the crystal dips down and the sand fills in there, so it really seems deeper than it is compared to the rest of the surface. But it all has to come out anyway, so let's see how I attack this. Now, of course, you all know what's coming.
I went ahead and started slicing her up, and I have 3 big pieces and some shards. Very nice shards, though. I will save this piece for an inlay or a mosaic. I think that will work perfectly. There's a tiny bit of glass there. Now, on these pieces, the smallest one, Stone C, has that great pattern right there. A little pin fire. And there's this crystally part here on the top. The problem is, there is a crack still in it. So this may become stones C and D. We'll see. Oh, I get it. Alright, stone B, the second smallest or second largest piece, has some beautiful color. Nice flash, nice patterns, and it also has a crack. I'm not sure that there you can see it right there. Naughty crack. Maybe that will yield 2 stones as well, or a piece for an inlay. Now, the stone A, the largest piece, similarly awesome color. Similarly, not so awesome crack. So, this might chip out, or I might just try to grind it out. I can't pull it apart, that much is certain. So that might produce 2 stones as well, or a stone and a shard for inlay. Alright, but look at that. I mean, who doesn't love that? Even like this, it's pretty cool.
And so here we'll take a quick glimpse of all the pieces after the cut, and then we'll get on with the main part of the show. At this stage of the stone, I had run through all of the sintered diamond burrs that I was going to do. As you can see, the crack is still visible on this end. This is during the 280 Nova burr stage. As you can see, there's a little bit of sand left in places, parts of the original surface of the rough. There's another view of the crack. It's actually an extension of the crack, I believe. Managed to get rid of the middle part. But it's got great color. I love this frosted look. Just have to work out more of the sand with the 280, smooth off the areas that are basically the fracture planes when it was mined. And see if I can get the stupid crack out. It was really frustrating. It's so glaringly obvious right there, even though this stone is all frosted up. Love all the yellows, reds, and greens in this. And at this stage, I had spent a bit of time on the 600 Nova burr. And you can see its shape is coming along very nicely. All of the sand, except for one spot, is out. And that's just a tiny little divot. I don't think it's sand collecting in there. I think it's grit from the actual burr and the stone itself. Look at this amazing color here. This is just mesmerizing. Okay, here we are after we have gone through the 1200 stage. And basically this is ready to polish. I'll just get some more looks in here before it gets polished to see the play of color in this thing. I could look at this forever. What do you think? Is this a really good color opal or what? Next, we move on to piece B. Now, as you can see here, it looks to be a little crack there in the cut face. There is some sand in certain spots. Doesn't look too bad though. This is going to end up being a free form like piece A. And this was actually only the third, I believe, Ethiopian opal, might have been the fourth that I cut. And I wanted to maximize the size of the stone. You can see here up to the 600 stage. I've gotten all but one bit of sand out. There's a couple of spots of the original surface left to smooth down. But it is looking really good right now. Here we have the stone after the bulk of the 280 Nova grit. I believe this was just before I started the 600 grit stage. Overall, it's pretty smooth. Edges are rounded up nicely. All the sand is gone. There's a couple areas of detail that I need to keep working on, but this thing is coming along nicely as well. Here we have the stone dopped up, and we're working on the 1200 stage, and we're just about ready to start polishing it. This thing is pure fire, in my opinion. And now, the tiny bits. So here is the last piece, the piece that was originally going to be piece C. Now, I'm looking at this, and right off the bat, you'll be able to see it too. There's a crack running through the face. So it really looks like I'm going to have to cut this, but I'm going to go ahead and shape it down a bit, remove a lot of that sand, and get a clearer estimate of how that crack travels. You can see here that I've started shaping it down. Most of the sand is out, and the crack is actually getting much more visible. Again, you can see in the face, it's kind of deep there. But if you notice, as I start moving the stone around, that on the edge, well, you'll see it here in a second. Just wait for it. You see the crack running right up the middle of this edge? Yeah, that crack in the face curves around and does kind of a 180 on me. So I have decided that I am going to slice this thing in half, but what I thought might be 2 stones is actually going to turn out to be 3 stones. So I'm going to have piece C, piece D, and piece E. I've cut the stone, and here is the piece C, and this is in the process of removing that last bit of sand on the end. All the other faces are reasonably smooth. There is 1 or 2 places that need a little bit more of attention, but we're going to get on the 600 and take the sand out and get the rest of this thing in shape. And it's going to look stunning when it's done, I'm sure. And now we have piece D. This is also right before I start the 600 stage. There really wasn't a whole lot of sand to deal with. Basically just smoothing off a couple edges, making sure that everything is nice and round, checking to make sure there are no cracks that I missed, and thankfully I did not. And we'll get this up on the 600, get it down to the point where I can dop it up and polish this little sucker. And finally, piece E. Now this is really close to the size and shape of piece D, and keeping them straight was kind of a pain. But like piece D, it was pretty clean. Basically just needed to smooth up the surfaces, round up the edges, and then it would be straight off to dopping and polishing. Now, I was lucky enough to be able to use my fingers for all these pieces up until the 1200 grit, and I dopped them and did 1200. Just, I like the control. These things are just impossible to hang on to once they start getting smooth. Look at all that beautiful color. Before we get to the finished stones, however, let's do a quick recap. Now, stone number 191 in the rough, it weighed 5.2 carats. It is 18.6 by 12 by 6.6 millimeters, and it comes from Welo, Ethiopia. In the initial overview, it's got great color, has issues of sand that don't appear too deep, and it has lots of cracks. Really obvious cracks. And then I cut the stone into 3 pieces and got a lovely little shard as extra. And now, here's the family dopped up, ready for polishing. And now, the finished stones. Piece A is 1.2 carats in weight, is 8.2 by 7.5 by 4.2 millimeters. And piece B weighs 0.85 carats, is 7.9 by 5.1 by 4.5 millimeters. Piece C is 0.15 carats. It is 4.6 by 3 by 2.6 millimeters. Piece D, well, it weighs under 0.1 carats. It is 4.9 by 3 by 2 millimeters in size. And piece E similarly is under 0.1 carats and is 5.5 by 3 by 2 millimeters. So here we have the whole family of stones. The good? Well, they have great color. They have great polish. They are beautiful opals with beautiful patterns. I estimate the brightness is 3. Now the bad? Well, stone A is cracked. But other than that, there's nothing bad. And for the ugly, well, there's nothing. So I think these turned out really nicely. It was a fun experience learning how to cut this, considering all the cracks. I thought they came out pretty well. Yeah, the 3 are really small, but they are beautiful. And now let's go through and show you each piece in detail. Thanks for making it this far. Please enjoy watching the rest of this video. that is everything for this time, but before we go, let's talk a little bit about valuation. Now, this stone cost me nothing as I won it as part of a giveaway. But what is it worth? Well, I was thinking $100, but since stone A is cracked, maybe it's worth about $60 for the set. Maybe I'll just keep it. Thanks for watching. And now its journey is complete. Until next time.